What channel are they on?
I think TBS maybe, I don't know. That's the channel they were on, yeah.
Coming to you live on the Government Access Channel from Mario Bagnoni Chambers in beautiful downtown Erie. It's the Taxpayers Hotline Show with your hosts, Kaz Kwiatkowski and John Steiner.
Hey, hey.
Hey, John.
Kaz, how are you today?
Good.
On this fine Columbus Day?
Yeah, that's true.
It is. Christopher Columbus. We're both looking at our phones right now because I just reminded Kaz that Cleveland game started, so we are scrambling to see.
Use my.
Kaz he's high tech now.
I try to think I'm high tech, but
He's got the smartphone. He's got the Major League Baseball thing going on. Oh yeah, he's got something going. He's got something cooking.
it didn't work though.
Did you log into the Wi-Fi here?
No.
That you got to log into the
So
Wi-Fi.
what's new, John?
Nothing. How's everything going?
Great. We had a great weekend.
Did you?
We were down to League of Cities and
Oh, really? Where was that at?
Cranberry, PA.
What was going on down there?
Well, that's where we all meet once a year and we go over various issues involving cities, boroughs, and to some degree, some townships.
Who all went down there?
From the city?
Yeah.
Actually, just, I think the fire chief was there. They have a fire chief meeting.
Uh-huh.
Outside of that, just Councilman Winarski and I.
Oh, good. That's good. Well, at least we had representation and.
There was a lot of interesting problems. Same ones everybody's having around,
Sure.
I took in some issues on blight,
Yeah.
pension reform, all that.
Well, the blight. I mean, it's not only an Erie problem. People realize, think that everything just happens in Erie, but it is a Rust Belt situation. All the Great Lakes states were all suffering from the same economic downturn.
And the interesting thing is that they were bringing up new ways to attack it. I just wanted to make sure that we actually are doing everything we could.
Yeah.
And after being down there for a while, I came away with the feeling that we were doing everything pretty much.
Yeah. Well, we got 3 land banks now, so everybody's got their own little land bank going now.
Well, who has one besides the city and the county?
EGRA. I think they're still trying to do some land bank thing. And
EGRA, aren't they?
Yeah.
Aren't they with the county?
No, they're autonomous, just like the water authority.
Oh boy, here we go.
Here we go. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hi,
Hello.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Why do you make it so hard for a person to buy blighted homes?
What do you mean?
You got to go through everything. You got to pay the taxes right away. If you want to get rid of blight,
Yeah.
let a family buy a blighted house. Give them a chance on the taxes.
I agree with you. It's a state law right now, though. The crazy, I know this, people say, you're passing on. No, state law determines when we can blight a property. State law determines, and the county, by the way,
Eminent.
because the county has the control of the properties before it comes to us. You got your judicial cells, your sheriff's cells. Now you have your land banks that will be able to, by law, jump you, like, in effect.
3 different land banks.
Yeah, and they'll have the ability to, pre-buy properties that the public won't. I agree with you, and what I would suggest to you is what I do. I grab my legislators, Harkins, Flo's not here, but Ryan, the new one we elect, and tell them what you feel, because I agree with you. The process now, even for the city, is terrible. We can't, if we blight a property, sometimes it takes 2 years before we can do anything with it. Yeah. And then by the time you're eligible to buy it, I agree with you.
Well, she's right. I think that they do need to streamline.
Yeah, they do.
The red tape just gets ridiculous.
It's got to be at the
dealing with anything around.
You're still there, right, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah, the conference I came back from, we were talking about just this thing, and we were, throwing thoughts back and forth with each other about what other communities do. And the one factor is that the state has to come up with some new laws on the state level that allows cities and municipalities at whatever level to be able to control their own destiny and to, like you said, to be able to make deals with the public where you have people that are really interested in develop, because a lot of times at council, we get people, this is a big problem. They come in here, they buy land, and they have no desire to do anything with it. They're buying it out of Philadelphia until they find out where it is or what it's located on, then they don't want it anymore. So we're looking at people like you that said, you know, if I buy it, I'm going to do something with it.
Well, that's what you try to do when a land bank is supposed to
do that,
do.
then you got taxpayers.
Yep.
Correct.
Doing it, you're not getting taxpayers.
No, I agree with you. I mean, when you look at some of the areas, you know, nobody would say they're not depressed and blighted, but there's good people there that if you gave them a chance, you know, we want to give you a LERTA, let's say, 10-year. We give you tax-free for 10 years to renovate that property.
Yeah.
And in 10 years, you come back and you pay us taxes and we get a nice neighborhood again, you know.
The ideal situation is that if they had to come
Hard
in
for
and,
people, so hard.
Pardon? Hello, you cut out, ma'am.
You make it hard for people.
Yes, and you know, a lot of it is not our doing directly at the city, but it's the county and state level. But, because usually when people come to us and they want to buy it on, you know, sale, council's been very generous and, you know,
Well,
we waive taxes and we waive fees.
the ideal situation in a land bank is if you have a tear down, you would prefer that the person like next door or would purchase the property because you know that it would be taken care of and it would just add to the, you know, the entire block and into that specific community. But, you know, with, you know, at this time with the economy the way it is and the job situation, I mean, it's going to be tough to do that. But the ideal situation would be to tear it down and have the person right next door buy it so that they could have, you know, but people that live in the city, that pay taxes in the city and move to the city would move into these houses to add to the tax base.
Oh, yeah, and you're seeing things like that. Another thing, ma'am, you got to remember that all three taxing bodies have to vote on relieving the tax burden. And right now, I don't think the school district really wants to do much of that.
They really can't.
And that's half, yeah, but you know what? In some cases, we have to look long-term, okay? And like this lady says, you know, right now, if you're satisfied with what you're getting compared to what you could get,
Yeah.
we have to look at that too also, you know.
But people got to remember, the school district, they have a babysitter from Harrisburg
Yeah, but you know what?
telling them what to do.
That's fine, but that babysitter has to understand, none of the taxes are going away.
Yeah.
But any future taxes are dependent upon, like this lady said,
Yeah.
if we give her a break so she can build something
Yeah.
or, you know, develop her land,
Yeah.
okay, we're not going to get that unless we make it easy on her. And what's she telling us?
Yeah.
We're giving her roadblocks right from the start.
Yeah, I agree, but the guy that's up there babysitting them is not from Erie. He
Well,
doesn't really give a crap
He has to
about
come
Erie.
here and talk to
Yeah,
everybody.
he don't care. He's
No.
from Harrisburg, from, you know, from that side of the aisle. He doesn't give a crap.
Because I agree with this lady. I mean,
She's
that's,
right.
that's
She's-
terrible.
Absolutely. Anything else, caller?
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
But ma'am, do call your legislators and tell them what you told me.
All right, yeah, well.
Because when I vote, I think about you, when we give like tax incentives, I think you'd like a tax incentive, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Like if I told you could build an addition on your house or renovate your house to a certain degree, and I give you a 10 or 5 years off, I think that'll help you make a decision.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Alerta has a lot of benefits, and I've seen statistics. I've seen the numbers on it, and they really do benefit a community. But you just have to have the safeguards against the community for people that take advantage of it and then jet, and or there's other ways that they could get Alerta and then have somebody come in and reassess the property for less after they bought it.
See, we always look at the exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
I look at the little people that live in the regular neighborhoods.
Right.
Not the guys that live in South Shore or the
Yeah.
guys that have commercial property.
Right.
People like this lady here who,
Yeah.
they're probably not going anywhere.
Right.
And you know,
The people that are on a budget, like myself and yourself, those are the people that the land bank has to benefit in the future, because it has to be done right. If it comes about, you have to have the safeguards to make sure that but it's not just only the people, the business people
Mm-hmm.
that need it. It's the neighborhoods that need it, and we need some industrial situations going. We got downtown development.
Right.
We have, residential development going on, and even with LERTA, in the city, but we don't have any commercial which create jobs. I mean,
Well,
we
that's
need
important,
more
and
focus.
so's the neighborhoods, though. We have to get them back. We
Absolutely.
have to get people not only wanted to stay in the neighborhoods, but come back.
Well, right.
Well, I'm going to call my legislators. You have a good day.
Yeah, you tell them, say, make it easier for us to, do our job.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
calling. Blight, the Lower East Side, the Hammer Mill area, that used to be a pretty decent neighborhood at the time. People took care of their homes. A lot of them worked at the mill, so they invested that territoriality in their community. So they took care of their houses, they took care of their property, and more important, they had disposable income to put into the property. They took care of it because it was theirs. Then as, with the economy and with the jobs, people start pulling out. The next thing you know, you have people that rent. A lot of people, they don't care, when you rent something, they don't care about the outsides, they care about the insides.
When we talked about the old neighborhoods, the ethnic neighborhoods and,
Yeah,
back in the old days, even though they were poor and they still kept the property up, but they had jobs, and now that has a lot to do with it too. I mean,
yeah, there's, no jobs is at the crust of a lot of our problems. Because if you have jobs, you fight blight with them. Drugs, I mean, there's less, I mean, in the future, why? People develop a work ethic. It has a whole positive effect on the entire family structure of how you view and how you go about life on a daily basis. And without those jobs, like crime, drugs, blight, those are all going to continue to be major problems. I mean, jobs is the key.
well, what we learned at that conference, which was pretty obvious, we always knew it. They said, be careful of the town if your town depends on one industry.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
one or two
You don't want
industries.
your eggs in one basket. And we had manufacturers. I saw statistics in the paper. Matter of fact, I saved them on my phone. When we get a call, I'll dig through them. The manufacturing jobs, I can't remember, but the number were astounding because I took a picture on my phone. They were so, I couldn't.
You want a quick way of doing it? Just, you can do it. You go upstairs, and I don't know, I used to have them in my office when I was controller.
Yeah.
I had all the CAFRs, that's the financial
Yeah.
situation of the city,
Right.
the documents. In the back was a page that shows, and you do this for, you explain what the median income of the city is, but
Yeah.
if I showed you what the top 10 employers were 30 and 20 years ago, you'd be
Right.
surprised. Go ahead, caller.
Right.
So you were down at Cranberry, huh?
Yeah, what they told us, John, was it was interesting. They said when they first moved in there, they had 5 buildings that belonged to, I'm trying to think what company it was, and that company went downhill.
Well, Detroit Diesel didn't go downhill.
No, it wasn't Detroit, it was a big corporation moved in there, and they bought 5 buildings in that, Cranberry's is not the old Cranberry Mall area we saw 20 years ago.
No, they've really gone big.
Yeah, and he said what they did was when they lost that one company, he said we gained like 5 little ones, plus Westinghouse came in. And he was saying that you got to be careful when, like Erie, sometimes the little companies that are right in front of you are the ones you have to like grow again,
Well, Westinghouse just moved in from down the street.
Yeah,
They were up in Pittsburgh.
right. And he said it was a lesson in how don't think you're always going to have a GE or you're always going to have whoever was there, like Verizon or somebody. They're not always going to be there,
Hey, they do a lot of teaching down there, Detroit Diesel and all that.
Yeah, it was it was a lesson in. Now you have to know that they're a suburb of Pittsburgh.
Well, that interchange used to be small. Now it's a monster.
Yeah, and they planned it very well. They were telling us how about even though they're a suburb of Pittsburgh, basically.
They used to come in from 79 and 19, and
Yeah,
there's a good restaurant in there too. It's called Marty's.
Marty's. It's a good Italian when they're Domenico's.
Yeah, but Marty's is just as well up the street there.
I have to remember that. I was really impressed that. Unlike our Peach Street, it was a little more. They had like a residential component and a commercial and business component, and
Go up there, you hook up with the turnpike and everything else, and it's really expanded. Now let's get down to politics.
Okay, I knew this was coming.
Well, have a D for a mayor. We got a president coming in, and he says he's not going to go because it's a political rally. Well, my God, you're going to have Mike Kelly there. You're going to have Gina Cola there.
Right.
These guys have potential to send money our way.
Is Dina Cola going to be at the hearing, rally?
I think he might drop by. They're having they're going to have a debate here Wednesday
Yeah.
night.
Wait, who's going to have a debate here?
Kelly and Dina
Oh, that's
Cola.
tonight, I think. I think that's on TV tonight, John.
Well, I picked that all those debates up on PCNN.
Oh,
They cover them all. They had the mayor or the governor, and they run the whole gauntlet.
I can't tell the mayor what to do, but I remember the last mayor.
And that, but you think he could even go to the airport and wave and say, "Hello, I'm the mayor of Erie. Have a good time," and just to make it known that he knows he's coming in. Of course, everybody knows he's coming in.
Well, that would probably be proper. I remember when Mayor Flippy was faced with the same dilemma when George Bush came here,
Yeah.
and he turned it down. But
Well, the bringing home, what you brought up, John, the bringing money here thing, that's our current guy's job, and well, we all know how that's been going.
Well, true, and you have a governor down there too that would never release any money until it's time for re-election. And my God, they all release the money when it's re-election time.
Well, there does seem to be more of that flows, but so did our current congressman. He hasn't done anything for us, and then all of a sudden we got $50 for sand.
That rough sand out there.
Yeah, he hasn't done crap, and then all of a sudden election year, here's $50 for sand. Get out of here.
That wasn't sand. That was fill dirt.
Whatever. Yeah, get out of here. Don't even come in here with
I
that.
remember the old days when they could actually dredge up the lake, rather.
George was taking it out of the lake and putting it back.
Yeah, but then he got out of that now because of environmental.
Yeah, the environmentalists, those tree huggers, they do some good, but they do a lot of bad too. Just like emission CO2, and you can't get photosynthesis without carbon dioxide.
Right.
So in one hand you say don't do it, and the other hand, do it. So.
Yeah, but we're at two extremes now. We're either too far left or too far right, and the people in the middle, we just sit there and scratch our heads.
Sense and
Yeah.
use your common sense and look at both sides of everything.
Yeah, right.
And forget half this negativism that's going on. And
Yeah, it's called teamwork, and it's called
Compromise?
compromise.
I
Yeah.
remember the old days when they would fight on TV.
Yeah.
Go out at night to dinner with each other.
Yeah.
Come back next morning and legislation was crafted.
Yeah. I mean,
I remember in the bars and whatever, you didn't talk politics without getting into a goodie.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Some of my friends, they're Trump supporters, and we get into situations and discussions, and we've never been to a point where we just say, you know what, let's not even talk about politics anymore. But that's where we're at this point. We're so divided. It's disgusting.
A great man said, "Divided you fall."
That's true.
Right.
But how many citations have we issued?
For what?
Anything.
You mean for the,
Code enforcement.
well, we're going to have our second reading, John. That'll be when you should ask me after we pass it next meeting and it's officially in effect. Then ask me and I will make them. I'm good.
The light deal you're talking about, not code enforcement.
Well, that's part of code enforcement. They're now,
We have a code enforcement now,
right, and they're not doing anything, basically. They told us that at the meeting.
but then they should be all fired.
So what's going to happen after the second reading, this is my committee that's in charge of, that's my liaison, is code enforcement. And when we pass it, I'm going to ask them for a monthly report on how many citations were issued.
Why don't you just plug into their computer with yours and have their website, and you can get it as it goes daily.
Well, we can do that, but I want them to report to council too. I want it on hard copy.
Upstairs, your two men there. You got Dave Rocco and Sailor,
Yeah,
he documents everything.
well, sure he does. And
Rocco.
David does a hell of a job, and I want the same thing out of code enforcement. They yelled for this tool, they were crying about it, so they got it now. They're gonna have it, if it passes a second reading, which I think it will, then they have no excuses. So I'm gonna demand that we get updates, and we also have access to the reports too, but just so the general public, can be made aware of it. We'll see what they do. Now, asking for something is one thing, and council can pass all the rules in the world, but if they don't,
No enforcement, what good is it?
yeah, that's what I've always said. We under our charter, the mayor is the one that has to jump on them. That's, that's the government they created many years ago. So, but council's job is to watch it and to, push them a little bit, and that's what they got the tools, let's see them use it now.
Well, it's like advise and consent, right?
Yeah, what does that mean?
No consent, but a lot of advice.
Yeah, well, I was disappointed that I didn't get a list of the so-called appointments till 72 hours after they announced it to the newspaper.
Oh, yeah, that's not right.
No, it isn't, because, we're supposed to all be in this together, and,
I think you're in a one-way street. The other mayor was bad enough, but this guy, he's not good letting you know anything.
no, and he can disagree with me, that's his privilege, but I am really disappointed, because I think, he posed himself as a transparency mayor, but he's not very transparent with us.
No, he's transparent with that gal down the road there.
Yeah, and, before we go in, leaping into, if you think it's just us, I was told by my county cohorts, they're not in on it either.
No, they're both out in the deep blue sea.
And, today I read in the paper, I love the Times News. No, it was yesterday, because I was on the road. Well, no, it was Saturday, I think. It must have been, because my mother brought her. She gets a paper, I don't anymore. But it said, they were talking about the EGRA thing. And they said, well, authorities are formed to keep the politics out. Well, why aren't you feeling the same way about EMTA? We formed that board for a reason, to keep our noses out of it. And they were doing a very good job. So what if they had a little disagreement? We disagreed about D-Day. We disagreed about the Cuban Missile Crisis. We even disagreed when we ratified and created the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And we didn't disband the Continental Congress.
The more I read the newspaper, the more I realize how clueless they really are.
The
Seriously.
newspaper's for.
Well, I call them the seal at SeaWorld. They flip more than that seal does at SeaWorld.
Here's what they do. They don't do really any deep, in-depth reporting. What they do is
Everything up off the wires.
they'll come. No, not even that. What they do, they come to the caucus meetings, or they come to the finance meeting. They listen to what the people say, what the elected people say, and they have their reasons for saying this, for saying that, and then they take it and run with it, and just what they heard. They don't do any in-depth background trying to figure out, well, why is this going on? Why is that going on? Nobody does that. All they do is they come, they get a couple comments, then they run back there and type their things out. Maybe Kevin does a little bit, and Ed Pellatella, he'll dig deep a little bit. But if I read the newspaper and the stuff that I know that's going on, I'm like, what are they? Are they serious? What are they talking about?
Well, you get the news 3 days later.
Yeah, and half of it is slanted the way they want to slant it. Half of it is not even true, and 90% of it they don't even dig deep. So it's like whatever.
Well, I call that my fish wrap paper.
Well, it's good to wash your windows with too sometimes, I guess. I don't know, but I do like I like Kevin. I think Kevin Flowers is a good reporter.
He's one-sided too.
Yeah, well, the newspaper has their own situation going on. They got to sell papers, and they can't afford to pay anybody. So we're lucky to even have a newspaper anymore.
And you got Cuneo with his viewpoints, and they're slanted. So, well, I'll get off and let somebody else. I'm going to wait for that Trump hater to call.
Oh,
Are you going to the rally, John?
Oh, I got a ringside seat. I've got a hat. Make America great again.
hey, John,
Oh,
I just want you to know something.
I wouldn't go to that.
John, we always were great. We never were not great.
Yeah, right.
That's right. And it's time to use common sense and be great.
Yeah, right. We can be great, but we've lost our route.
You know, I wouldn't go wait 3 hours to see anybody speak.
No, I wouldn't go say Abraham Lincoln. I wouldn't wait 3 hours.
I would guarantee you this, like, based on the last president that was here, if you do want to protest, you'll be 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
Well, the last person I saw was John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, well, you and I, actually, I remember him using, at the Lawrence, we got let out of school.
1960.
But I saw the last official vice president I saw was Hubert Humphrey when he came here to, at the airport and then at Gannon.
Yes.
He was actually a seated vice president at the time. It was quite a deal.
I'll tell you what, he brought out all the young guys.
Yep.
Schools let us all go, and it was worth it.
Right.
Yep. And Kennedy, I marveled when I was a young kid, and I said, you know, I guess we were naive when we looked at him. We said, "This is too good to be true," you know.
Right.
Well,
All right. Thanks for calling. If nobody calls, call back.
I will.
Okay.
When he brings that up, I remember we got let out of school for Nixon too.
Yeah, you know the thing about
And
national.
they actually, you know, wanted us to hear these guys.
Here's the thing about national politics. Though this isn't about Democrat, Republican. This is about rich versus poor.
Yeah.
Okay. The rich, the 1%, has. Remind me to pick up on that.
I'm making notes.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Quick question.
Yeah.
How much is this costing the city for Trump to come here? Answer it. I'm going to hang up.
Well, no, stay on. You there?
Yeah?
They will not tell you. When I was controller, we never really got even. You can't build a federal government, so all the police officers are there. It's hard to break that out because they're going to shift a lot of their focus to that, and any overtime, and like even now they're working on it with the Secret Service. I have heard that other cities have tried to do research on it, and that a presidential visit does cost money.
Well, for sure. The sad part is that he comes here, and if anybody gets hurt or injured, or if there's a death or anything, or a riot, it's all of our local people are the ones that are going to be involved and get hurt. So we have to spend the money to protect them. It's ridiculous, but oh well.
Ridiculous. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's not only city, like when you figure he's coming, what he kind of said the other day.
Yeah.
He's coming in from the airport, that's going to involve Mill Creek.
Right.
Airport police.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with national politics, you know, it's not about Democrats versus Republicans anymore. It's about rich versus poor. And the rich, they have all of us arguing over guns, abortions,
Yeah.
Taxes, all the social ills of the world.
Or the hot topics.
Yeah, the hot topics, somebody, I don't understand how somebody that could be living in a trailer broke.
Yeah.
Because they think that somebody's going to come and take their guns will vote a certain way. It baffles my mind how we have become so robotic into believing the crap they got us fighting over. You know, they just sit back while we're fighting over guns and abortions and all that. They're just counting all the money.
Well, sure, first of all, they can't get all the guns anyway.
They're never going to get the guns.
They don't even know where they are, okay?
They would just send them underground. The guns aren't going anywhere.
And anyway, unless I've heard both arguments. Unless you can afford to buy an F-16 or
They shouldn't even be making.
an APC, what are you going to do?
There's so many arguments.
Yeah, but what are you going to do with a weapon against?
Yeah, I mean, who needs to walk around town with an AK-47?
But the
Who
military.
Who hunts? Then they do. Police upstairs, okay.
Yeah.
You know, but who needs them? I mean, really, do you really?
But even if you had it, what are you going to do against a well-trained military
Yeah, well,
with weapons?
listen, that's the thing. I posted that on social media one time when the whole machine gun, everybody thought they were coming for the AKs. Well, we're going to protect ourselves against the government. Well, I got bad news for you, my man. They're coming in with tanks, bazookas.
Unless you can pull a coup with the military.
Tanks, bazookas, bombs, germs. You're going to roll right over you. So, I mean, just stop it.
See, other countries didn't have the cowboy mentality we did.
You know,
And way back when everybody, Well, let's face it, especially in Pennsylvania, it's a rural state predominantly.
Yeah.
If you went outside the city limits, I would bet anywhere in Pennsylvania, 90% of the people
Yeah.
probably have a firearm.
Yeah.
Or a rifle or a
Yeah.
shotgun.
But some of these guys,
So, I mean, you know,
I want to arm the militia. Oh, really? The government's you never back when the Constitution was written. You know, we have the armed militia.
Right.
That's because the government had the same guns that we have.
and there wasn't much of a federal government.
No, I can't go to the gun store and buy a bazooka. Can you buy bazookas? I don't think bazookas are for sale.
You can buy them.
You can?
You have to know where to buy them, but.
Well, yeah, not legally. You can't buy a bazooka.
I was in the state, this is a true story, I was in the state one time, and, I gotta tell you this, I was in the state, and I was looking around, it was an Army-Navy store. And I said to the guy, they had these, when we had Claymore mines,
Yeah.
we had an igniter.
Right.
You know, firing mechanism. I looked at it and I go, wow, you know, and then monkeying around. Then he also had a law missile launcher. These are the ones that
Right.
cascade out, plastic.
Right.
And the guy says, you want me to show? I said, no. So I pulled one out. He said, you handle that pretty good. And I said, well, I used one once. And so I said, this thing's only lacking one thing to make it complete. And the guy looks around, he goes, pulls the curtain, he goes, well, maybe we can take care of that. And I'm going, if you want it, you know, it's there. But it's not going to be easy to get.
It makes no sense. I
But,
mean,
you know, I mean, you're not gonna be able to go up against
if the government's going to come and take us over, they're not going gun to gun. We don't even go gun to gun with our enemies. They're going to drop it on us. They're going to drop bombs, and they're going to.
It's the paranoia that everybody's out there.
It's these people that follow Trump. I mean, some of my friends, I'm not even saying that Trump is. I'm not even picking sides. But even when he's wrong, it's like he's wrong. It's common sense, and they just go right along. They're like,
Did you see a thing the other day about?
I mean, it's like, are you guys wake up? Hello.
Did you see a thing?
Hello.
Did you see a thing the other day where they interrupted everybody's cell phone?
Yeah. Well, I got mine was. I was like, what is going on?
Think of what they just did.
Yeah.
What did they just do?
They invaded our privacy. They're
For the common good.
Yeah. They're
right?
on top for nothing. What was it about?
But that tells you. What does that tell you?
They're onto us. They're in our business. They're like.
They know where you are.
Yeah, they know exactly where my phone is. And I'm like,
But nobody's
what's going on here? Did somebody
nobody's worried about
blow up the
that.
White House?
Nobody's worried about that though.
No. Trump, he does this, he does that. I mean.
But we all did that.
I'm not
Democrats-
even saying, I'm not pro, they follow this guy like he is like, he can't do anything wrong.
We got to stay away from politics, remember?
We do?
Yeah, we got to watch that.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be so I got to
What are we supposed to talk? This is the government channel.
Oh,
What do we
yeah,
talk about?
local politics.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about local politics then. How's the EMTA thing going? Any drama there? What's going on there?
Well, the mayor presented his candidates,
I came to.
and we delayed it because we didn't know anything about them, and there was too many questions.
Yeah. I came to the meeting Wednesday, and did people come to speak about the guys that were on the board before? Did they speak at all?
I don't think there was. I'm trying to remember. I don't think there was anybody really. What they did address was there was a couple people that were in favor of the new board, but nobody really went to bat for the old one.
Yeah.
And one of them that testified was a member of the board, and I was disappointed that she was asked to leave because my question is, what did she do wrong?
Okay.
I mean, she's given up her seat, but why? She did nothing wrong.
Okay.
She was a representative, which.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and she's a very nice lady.
Yeah, she is, yeah.
I don't know what she did wrong. And my question to the administration was, I don't know anywhere in the charter where it says we can basically fire people. We can ask them to resign.
Yeah.
But, the whole purpose of a board is to have non-political ties.
All right, let's stop right there.
All
right, let's stop right there. We know that's a bunch of crap.
Yeah, but the theory on paper is supposed to be that
The theory,
when we appoint a board,
and here's,
we're not supposed to micromanage their decisions.
you're not, but here's the problem. The reason that thing went down was because the way the appointments went down last time, that it was the way it looked. You know the way it looked. Now, on the flip side, we have these other authorities that that are autonomous, and you let them be autonomous, and then they do what they want to do. They don't do what they're supposed to do. They're not doing their following their fiduciary rules. So if you do try to rein them in, you do try to put policies and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, then you're a bad person, and then this and that. The people pick and they choose. These boards are they're supposed to be autonomous. We want them to be autonomous, yes. But when you let them be autonomous and too autonomous, they don't do what, and the sad part is they don't have to answer to anybody.
But John,
That's the difference between you and, when you create a board or an authority, they don't answer to anybody.
well, our answer is like when I appoint somebody to a board,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
and it's a limited term,
yeah,
okay, if I don't like what they're doing,
Yeah.
or people tell me they don't like what he's doing,
but then what, then you're
I
interfering.
have the ability not to reappoint him.
But then that's true. But you're interfering then. Well, why, Kaz?
No.
Why are you recalling them? You know what I'm saying? That's what they will
When
ask
their
you.
term is up, if I feel like they haven't served properly.
Right. Well,
And my rules are very simple. You don't have to agree with me,
Yeah.
okay? But if I appoint you to a board, I expect you to ask questions. I expect you to be, render decisions that, you feel. I look for people. I have one appointment on blighted review.
Right,
And the gentleman is very knowledgeable.
right,
And I put him there because he does have a knowledge.
right.
I have an appointment to the Water Authority, which
Yeah.
I appointed.
But you have no appointments to the EMTA. The mayor has his handful, and the county executive has her
Right,
handful.
we have to consent.
Now,
But what happened?
now,
John,
you're going to tell me that none of these appointees, they're just out of the wind.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
But even the ones they tell you now that they're going to new board,
Yeah,
they're going to have ties to these two executives. What councils are mad about, both, and I can't speak for county, just the ones I talk to. Talking to them and talking to my council members, we were never made aware what was the problem. We read about in the paper that they're being reappointed because we felt like they were not making. Well, whose idea of progress? You know what I'm saying, John?
yeah.
Now, what did they show me something that they did that was detrimental, okay? Like they talk about, their vision. Well, the vision is to expand the Metro Authority.
The problem is, Kaz, is there's beefs that have been going on that the public really doesn't kind of know about. There's beefs going on.
Well, we all know that.
And then that right there, and now everybody talks about, well, the people are putting beefs in front of what's best in this community. I've seen it happening for years.
So are you in favor of what happened at the MTA?
I mean, honestly, I don't know all the details. I don't.
But
Here's the thing, Kaz. As I sit here, it's like, do I want this? Well, I know, but I know what this person, I know what that, and it's like, oh my God, what is going on here? Then these people haven't even resigned, and we got a whole new list of people. Well, wait a minute, we haven't even decided this. Well, what is the goal? What is the vision? What do we want?
Well, here's the shenanigans that started. One member was asked to quit,
Yeah,
when in the past, there was no problem with the appointee
Yeah.
that was designated from, I believe it was the colleges or Edinburgh,
yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
That's how they had the board set up.
Yeah.
Just like they have Miss Minnick, who was a representative of the
right,
ADA, challenged people that have issues.
yeah,
And so when they asked him to quit, he gets a phone call after hours. Okay, so now they go to the board meeting and nobody knows because they go in executive session, which is really bad.
Right.
Because now nobody knows what's going on.
right,
And now they don't have a board that can release the information, waive the, to
Right.
say what happened back there.
Yeah.
So nobody knows what happened. So councils are hearing, he said, she said, who said, what said.
Right.
This guy said he resigned, but we don't know he resigned.
right.
And then you have a lot of this,
So here's,
and that's the problem. It's not fair to the public, but it's not fair to us who have to decide,
that whole, I'll tell you, everything that goes on. Now, you have an old mayor, you have a new mayor. You have different relationships between the city and the county now. And then you want to throw in, you want things to be regional, but you want to make sure that the city is protected against our assets. So somehow you have to find some way to navigate through all this and understand why did, and then you throw in what the newspaper says, because they always got to put their 2 cents into
I agree with you,
everything.
John, but how do you do that when the two executives never talk to councils?
Well, that's a very good point.
I mean,
Now, what Joe says to you, I don't know how he talks.
Well, you know what the county, they didn't talk to the council.
No, they did not. Now,
So, I
that
mean-
I do know.
So here's the two councils.
Yeah.
Okay, they're sitting there going,
Yeah, but if they could.
we got to read what we read in the
talked about
paper.
this before, Kaz. If they came and talked to all 7 of you guys about everything, they would never get anything done.
Don't you think this is important, though? You need our
This is
concurrence.
important.
You need what you're doing is firing a board.
Who is their liaison? They should have a liaison.
Jimmy Winarski on our side.
Okay, and who
He
does-
was called late at night, the day before the press conference. So he couldn't even notify us,
Okay,
because I checked on that.
I mean, that might be a problem.
So you had a press conference the next morning. I didn't know about it, because when Jimmy got the call, he couldn't call us late at night. Some of us
Sometimes-
some of us go to bed early, okay?
Yeah.
And, so now
that's-
none of us are aware of the press conference.
Well, I could see why that's a problem.
And-
That's a problem.
We didn't even know who his appointees were, or the reasons why
Wait
he
a minute,
fired
let
them.
me get this right. You got a call the night before the press
Not me.
conference? Or Jimmy
Yeah.
got a call the night before the press conference, and the following morning, they announced who the appointees were. Okay.
And then-
Well, it's their appointee. I'm going to play devil's advocate
And then
here.
officially, I was notified.
I'm going to play Mayor
72
Joe.
hours later, okay?
I'm Mayor Joe.
Yeah.
I'm not coming to you guys until, if I have to get your guys' opinions on everything, I'll never get
Yeah, but
anything
you
done.
need our concurrence.
Okay, I know, but.
You just fired a
here's-
whole board.
I'm gonna find the best, I'm devil's advocate
Yeah.
now. I'm gonna find the best people I can, Kaz. And if you guys don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. I don't have time, I have a city to run.
You do know there's no provision there to fire people.
At where? EMTA?
I couldn't find anything in the charter, the state laws, or anything that says we can fire people.
Does it say that you have to turn in a letter of resignation to be off the board? What does it say regarding that?
You can ask somebody to resign, they can resign.
Okay,
And usually in law, now their attorney says something different.
yeah.
She said a verbal is okay, but I think most people would say, hey, you know what, put it in writing.
Yeah, for sure.
In the heat of the moment, they may have
when you-
said something that,
Yeah, even when you leave a normal job on a regular, you give 2 weeks I mean,
well, here's a question.
in writing.
He said publicly that the one person resigned.
Yeah.
So if they resigned and they accepted the verbal resignation at the meeting,
Yeah.
why did he ask them to resign again?
See,
I mean, why would you ask somebody to resign
It is a
if
mess.
they already resigned?
it is a mess up there.
Okay, that's why, I look at it like, if I quit and then you call me in your office and say, I want you to quit.
Yeah.
I already quit. No, I want you to, no.
It's time for people to, and it makes me upset.
And this is what the public's asking me.
It's time for people,
So if anybody's out there listening, feel free to call. We're still got,
it's time for people to stop putting their personal beefs in front of what's best for the
I
community.
just think that going forward, what the city has to
sickens me.
do, I think it's very important that the county, the city, the councils are all involved in the process. Because at the end of the day, mayors and executives have vision, but guess who has to pass this stuff?
Yeah, we have,
You know who has to pass it, right?
yeah, you.
And if we're not aware of
No.
it, we look
I'll
like,
tell you right now, it's not flying in the county.
we look like
I know
horses.
that for
We
sure.
look like horses spittoons sitting here
That's
because
not
we don't know what's
flying.
going on.
I tried to get Carl to come on today, but he couldn't to talk about it.
Who?
Carl.
He just probably didn't want to talk about
He
it.
had stuff he had to do today, but.
Well, he's,
Do you know what their comments? They're getting all kinds of crap over there from
You know,
the
what
Times.
is, the last time this happened, 2 years ago,
Yeah,
a group of us got together,
yeah,
we talked about it.
yeah,
And this was a bipartisan,
yeah,
I won't say who's involved, but it was bipartisan.
yeah.
And you know what? It got done.
You
It
know,
was Republicans and Democrats,
see, this is,
city and county, we got it done. You know what? We got it done. We found out what everybody wanted. We made a deal, and guess what? It got done.
it's called compromise. Here's the thing, Kaz. We have, right now, like, it's been going really good as far as teamwork between the city, the county, and the school district. I think it's been like considering, then you throw in this whole EMTA thing, and then everything, we're taking another step backwards. Because you have to weigh the asset value. I mean, I'm not Lichten Walter. I don't know the finances. I'm not involved in any of that stuff. But I mean, it's an asset. So if you start giving away your assets pretty soon, you can't give away the keys of the car
Well, here's what I say.
or to the house and expect to go get stuff.
Carl and his companions were
Yeah.
elected for districts in the county.
Correct.
I was elected to represent the city. My decision is based on what I think is good for my people.
Well, that's, like, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
That's okay, go ahead.
like the county executive, she appointed people from different districts, and some of the appointees weren't from some of the council people's districts.
That's not right.
So, and they were upset. But okay, but all right, Kaz, here we go. But they're autonomous. So how's that not right? Who cares where they're from?
Because the purpose of how they laid this out, and they had good vision, okay?
Right.
When they looked at the county, I don't know how the county did it, that's their baby,
Yeah.
okay? But if their purpose was, and I can see the county you're dealing with, unlike the city, you're really dealing with a wide area, okay?
Yeah.
People in Fairview don't have the same values as people in Corey.
Right.
And people in Northeast don't have the same values as people in Springfield or Edinboro.
Right.
Okay? They have different needs and different wants. So I think what this thing about, just like the greatest thing they did in the county was to take away 3 commissioners and elect councilmen by area.
Yeah.
Because I spent the weekend with the mayor of Edinboro.
Yeah.
No, the mayor of Corey, I apologize.
Right.
And the city manager. And we sat down and we talked about common goals, common problems, and relationship with the county. You'd be surprised. You get a lot accomplished when you're just sitting around having a coffee with somebody. Yeah. And when you look at it, you realize that even though we all have the same problems, Corey has a different set of problems than, let's say, Springfield. And I think when the county did those appointments like that, it was bearing in mind that, that's what they wanted. It's just like in the city, we get the argument that we don't have representation through the whole city. Yeah. And that's somewhat true because we have councilmen at large, okay? Yeah. Because, let's face it, the bus needs of people in South Shore are different than the bus needs of people in the 1st Ward or the 5th Ward.
But the thing is that if they're all autonomous, then who cares?
Well, they are autonomous once you appoint them, but you want them to represent.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead, caller.
You are dead in the water.
Whom?
He got his 4 votes, and I won't tell you who they are.
Oh, I know who they are, John, but you know what I'm trying to say is that
But I know.
you try to appoint people that represent areas, and then when they get together, they're autonomous, but they make the decision based on,
Right. They're looking at the other side of the ball.
what ball is that now?
Well, they're looking at, I don't want to say it on the air.
Okay, but see, my problem is I look at it like, I represent people that don't have cars,
That's right.
and, the bus is important to them. I don't want, a group of people that are representative of, if I give up my city representation by the mayor's appointments, which we have to concur with, he's got, that means that somebody can make a decision and say, you know what, it's not profitable to haul people.
That's right.
And that's, the whole thing about a bus is not profitability. Look, we'd like that, but in the end, it's moving people publicly that need help, okay? I mean, I probably will never use a bus that much, but I'm sure there's a lot of people in certain areas, both the county and the city.
Well, yeah, they have to use the bus, but that bus scheduling for holidays and everything, they're shot.
Yeah, and well, that's where you hope that the board and the people get involved and
They do their job, right.
Well,
Yeah.
they try to cut the school buses off for the school district like a month before school started. Remember that fiasco?
Well, those city buses that are running for the school district, they're illegal anyways.
Well, but
If you look at the state laws, they are not allowed to run school children.
all I'm saying is I think the mayor and the executive should have sat down with their councils and said they had a problem and explained to us what the problem was.
Let all the people on the board come in and you can iron it out.
And maybe we concur with them and maybe we don't, but we have that discussion about,
Now,
but,
what are you going to do about the ones that won't resign or send in letters of resignation?
well, the theory is, and there's a couple theories, there's like 3 possibilities you can do, and they're all ugly, okay?
Well, what's the city solicitors say? We don't care about the county.
Well,
solicitors.
actually, he didn't render a decision to us. When they called the EMTA solicitor, which I don't think is valid.
No.
Well, I mean, it's valid from the EMTA standpoint.
Right.
But we have not got an opinion from our solicitor on, what he feels is, If he did, he hasn't notified us yet, you know.
Not your rent a solicitor. What do you have from the ones in-house?
Well, the rented one is the solicitor. Unfortunately, by law, he is the other people, they got to answer to him, John.
You know who the last people I trust anymore?
Who?
Are your solicitors.
Well,
Not only yours, but
the problem
everybody's.
with, I will say this, and it's a problem that we created back when did they do this, John? Change of government, 50-something? I can't remember, it was the late 50s, early 60s, right?
You know, they have the same solicitors for a couple different authorities.
Williamson came in
Yeah, so here's what happened, John.
in the 60s.
What we should have done is attach the solicitor
64, I think it
to
was.
council, not under the mayor. A lot of governments, and
You
there's,
should have your own solicitor.
yeah, but here's the problem, John.
Very strong mayor rule.
Well, here's the problem. Under state charter, third-class city code,
Yeah,
which is the binding rule.
yeah.
Like, now when I was down in Cranberry, I found out that the people that went home rule charter, that's,
Yeah.
they put the different departments under their control, or the manager, or they put the solicitor under their control.
Yeah,
The cities that did like us, optional charters with strong mayors,
yeah,
the rule says very simple. It says that the solicitor is the only one that can write and approve an ordinance.
yeah.
So the solicitor, in our case, falls under the domain of the mayor. So even if we hired a solicitor, which we can, he doesn't have any right to override the solicitor of a choice,
Well, I
which
mean,
is,
you guys should have, the county council has theirs, city council should have
but
one.
yeah, but here's the difference. That's a home rule charter. Okay, we can, John, what I'm saying is we can hire a solicitor. No question about it, okay?
Right.
But all he does, if we tell him to write up an ordinance,
Yeah.
it still needs the approval of the city solicitor. And that one,
Oh,
under
he fall-
third-class
He
code,
falls under his auspices.
because went way back, and John will tell you this, right, John? When they went to, they should have done, whatever they wrote up back then and approved, that's law now.
Yeah,
And so that's
one
the
rule
problem.
you should not have, one solicitor should not be the solicitor for more than one authority or the school district, because there's a solicitor, I know for sure,
Well,
at
they
least
hire
one
their
or
own.
two.
But
Yeah,
didn't you guys put a sunset clause if this solicitor got paid too much money? After a quarter or whatever it was?
Yeah, we've been watching his bills. He's been keeping in line right now.
that's the least of our problems, John.
But,
No,
but,
I'm
these
saying
guys.
to get rid of them.
With these guys, that's the least of our problems.
well, you still have to have a solicitor by law, so
Got 4 of them.
whether he's full-time or part-time, you have to have a solicitor. Doesn't say he has to be in-house. You can hire a firm to be your solicitor, but by law, once you designate him as a solicitor, he does have the right to, do what he does then.
Right.
Well, that's where those 4 votes, right?
Yeah, and that's, it's like, well, the authorities, they tend to go with, most of them it's because solicitors are in Erie, PA, it's tough to find people in certain, genres of law, and solicitorship is one of them. You got people that will tell you they're good at it, but they don't understand township law, they don't understand authority law, and they don't understand third-class city law. So that's where you get into trouble. When you need an opinion, you want somebody that knows what they're talking about.
And you want them to give an unbiased opinion.
And it really is
And
tough.
how can somebody that's the solicitor for the school district also be the solicitor of another authority, and or the city or the county or whatever, and they're trying to negotiate tax? Yeah, it's like, I mean,
Well, they have
what are we doing?
they have to step aside if they're,
Yeah, right. Step
like-
aside. That's big bucks for
the
them.
firm you're talking about, I won't say it publicly,
Yeah, you know who.
but they have different attorneys that hire different genres, okay?
Yeah,
So that if they're, like, for instance, the one that dealt with us at the school district level
yeah,
was not the same one that dealt with something that would be conflicting, okay?
yeah,
Because they would have to disqualify themselves.
yeah,
Because basically what they did with us, they just said, here's what you can do under school law,
yeah,
and, these are your,
yeah. I mean, but
Talk to you later. I'm going back to the ball game.
what's the score?
Oh, don't tell me.
There's no score.
Ah,
Ah,
I'm taping it.
I didn't know that. Well, I thought you were looking at
You
for the
saw me
score.
taping it.
Oh, that's what you were doing?
Yeah.
I didn't know what you were doing. I thought you were looking for
I
a
don't
score.
want to know what's going on.
There's no score. So there you have it.
What if there was a score? Then you had me,
He might have lied. He might have just said that to just trick you.
John, don't lie. He may
No, he
stretch
don't
the
lie.
truth a little
No,
bit.
he don't lie.
No, I thought,
the whole EMTA, it is a mess.
I came away thinking, after I left that conference the other day, you know, the successful communities are the ones that interact, have a lot of dialogue, work with business, you know, work with everybody. And this is what's going to take, because when we talk about the partnership with that group that's raising all the funds.
EDDC.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about all the various developers.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to sit down with them and see what, you know, we need to discuss, like, what do you think you need to make these things happen?
You know, and we're getting to the point where, you know, the regionalism, you know, what's best for the city, what's
And
best
that's
for
okay,
the
John,
county.
but I always say this, okay, I'm not against regionalism,
Yeah.
but it's a two-way street. Okay, when they dispersed the gambling funds, nobody talked to Erie,
No.
okay?
No.
When I go to Bethlehem and Allentown,
Why is that? We blew that ourselves.
Bethlehem and Allentown, I was talking with some of their councilmen and their mayor and stuff.
Yeah.
And I found out they you know, the previous mayor cut a deal. So that the two mayors got together and said, hey, we're fighting over the one thing. So whoever wins, let's share our, you know, you get some of ours, we get some of yours. And you don't see that here. All you see is, you know, the gambling money went in one pot. The city, the largest,
We're 50% of the county.
and we don't get nothing.
We get goosed.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but they disperse funds to us for different projects and land
fireworks?
banks. Land banks and stuff.
Yeah, but that's only now, John, okay? But those are, you know, other communities get cash, they can do whatever they want.
I know.
How about if we needed that money for public safety?
I hear you. Believe me. I
Go
get
ahead,
it.
caller.
I get it.
Bottom of the fourth, Cleveland, 1-0.
Oh, thanks, John.
Oh, thanks, John. They must have went yard. Somebody must have went yard for Cleveland.
Oh, but
But you know, Kaz, I just want Erie to be better.
I do too, but I think it's
I
going to
just
take,
do.
I said this from the start.
We're
We
in
can't
such
have
a funk.
isolated, you know what killed us in the past, John?
What's that?
Too many visions. And I think the one thing they did right, the previous administration, was a war room. Okay, they sat down and they got together and said, what do you want, Erie Insurance? What do you want, Gannon? What do you want, UPMC?
Yeah, there's so
Okay.
many personalities.
Hey, but you got to get them at the same table so that,
Yeah.
you know, when we go out for grants, all right,
Yeah,
like, you know, we're talking about, you know, Erie Shirts has their needs, Hammond has their needs. But the last thing you want to do is, if we're going to be doing projects, like, it comes up all the time on, I'll give you an example. They were going to do, like, around 10th Street,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And at the time, they didn't include, what's his name, Velocity Net, okay? So somebody got smart and said, hey, you know what? He's doing a major development. Let's bring him into the conversation, because if we're going to do something, let's not be surprised that all of a sudden we needed to do something with the road to help him,
Yeah.
his project go, like maybe curb cuts or
Right.
widening sidewalks or something.
Yeah,
And it was all important about, like, if we're going to do wiring and all that stuff,
right,
it only made sense to bring him to the table.
right,
We never did that in the past. We would, like, have a vision, like 12th Street.
right.
You know, we did all that stuff where we shut down 12th Street, closed lanes off, and now PennDOT's going, maybe we shouldn't have done it, or we need to get that open again.
Right.
Lack of communication. You need to get all the, what do you call it, all the people together. What do you call that?
Yeah, what did Mayor Tullio only? He said, all I need is four people to run the city. So
Yeah,
that's-
but
that's
still.
what Senate did. Senate
Yeah,
had four
but
solid,
it doesn't
man.
work out right, because you're look what you're dealing with now. You're dealing with, we're going to be doing some very hard decisions in the future.
There's a lot of tough things coming.
And people are going to have political courage.
You know, they have to have, you know, it's just, I just wish people would just get along. But everybody has the personalities of people sometimes get in the way of decision making. People don't want other people to make decisions, and then the people that we put in charge of making decisions aren't making proper decisions. And then they start, and then when you don't overlook them, or they have nothing, there's no one to answer to, then things start getting a little dicey.
Well, here's
so
what-
it's an the way the whole thing, honestly, when I stand back and look at it, 1 minute, it's just, I don't know how it's going to work out.
Well-
I really don't.
Here's what I say. As a councilman, I want to be part of it, okay?
Yeah.
But I want to be kept in the loop. I don't want to be surprised because we're all in this together. It's going to take a lot of people
Yeah.
and on various government levels and private level to pull this off.
I know.
This is a 20 and 30-year project, John. You
Yeah,
know,
I
when
know.
you look at it long range,
Yeah.
we're turning this city, we're either going to turn it around or it's going to continue to be what it is.
And that's what kind of upsets me the most, because I think we do have unprecedented investment. I think we are turning in the right direction when it comes to technology and housing downtown, which spreads out into the rest of these communities. I think the land bank and LERTA are really good ideas. I think we are moving in the right direction. But we have these personalities and decisions, and then you throw in the media. I mean, this is really an important time in our future, and we cannot have people screwing it up right now.
You know, I was at the meeting this week, right?
Yeah,
And I was sitting there and the person didn't know I came in late.
yeah,
And it was from one of our neighbors in this county
Yeah.
who was at the meeting, and he was speaking at a thing about how well the city was doing things.
Yeah.
I was impressed because you know what? That told me that, you know, people are watching what we're doing here. And then when we got together and talked, this was the gentleman I told you about, we were discussing similar issues, similar problems, their perception about their relationship with the county
Right.
and their relationship with the city. And you know what he came away saying?
What?
That if we don't protect the center core, we're all going to rot.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I was impressed that if we were given a chance to sit in the same room, and this is what I say about we need to, you know, get together with, and Councilman Anderson has said this, and, you know, I'm in favor of it. We should meet once in a while, get together, and so we're on the same page.
It's important that you guys, see, the problem is there's personalities involved in way too much.
Yeah, but you know what? At the bottom of it, there's some good people at the county
Yeah?
that will meet with us.
And I think there's good people at the city. I don't think Joe's trying to like totally ignore. I don't know. I don't know.
That's the appearance we get. Some of us feel like, you know,
I mean,
we don't want to read about it at a press conference, okay?
Yeah.
You know, we want to know, if you got an idea that involves us, we should be known ahead of time.
Yeah.
You should have a conversation with our president, our liaison.
Right.
And that, you know, we know what you're up to. Look, that doesn't mean we're going to micromanage you,
Yeah.
but there's nothing like, you know, people out there are yelling for transparency.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they feel like their government,
And there has been, but for some reason, this EMTA thing, I don't know.
Should have never happened.
No, I mean, the way it went down.
And it shouldn't happen last time.
I don't know the ins and outs of the city's aspect
and
of
guess
it.
what? Me,
Yeah.
as a person that's a vote on it,
Yeah.
I know nothing. What does that tell you?
Well, that tells me that they don't, I don't know. They don't.
I only know what I read or what I heard secondhand now.
Well, and I mean, I know, but from their perspective, they're probably like, well, we know Kaz is a no, so.
Yeah, but that's not.
They're
the way
only
you
gonna
look-
focus on the yeses.
You don't look at that. Look, if I disagree with somebody,
I'm playing
you know why we got
devil's
this?
advocate.
You know why we got this backlog everywhere?
Why?
Because everybody's assuming everybody's going to do this.
Yeah,
You don't know how somebody's going to vote.
No.
You could change my mind if you took me in a room and said, you know, you're looking at this wrong.
yeah,
And I've had my vote changed by people that said,
yeah,
you know, people that come up to me, citizens or otherwise, that said, I don't think you're seeing all the whole picture.
right.
That doesn't mean I'm going to change, but you know what?
But it just,
You have a better chance of, with dialogue, is saying, okay, here's the reason why we're doing what we're doing.
just be very careful with the EMTA situation. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know, you know, the county council, they're concerned. I mean, I don't know,
I'm only worried about one thing.
what's that?
I'm not worried about my political future.
No.
I'm worried about the people that take the bus out there.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's what it's all about, but that's what it's all about. And it needs to be more about that with other people.
It's like this lady that called us earlier in the show.
Yeah,
That's all I'm worried about. I'm not worried about
and that's what it boils down to.
somebody else that's got a vested interest, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, and it's part of the reason why the community hasn't risen up faster like other communities, because Erie has a lot to offer.
Well, sure we do. And you know what? When there's people like the first caller
We
that
just,
called in,
we just cannot,
she wants to get involved,
people
we got to listen to her.
People have to start putting their egos aside and start working together and trusting one another. That hasn't been the case in the past. You know, with Joe upstairs, Kathy, I mean, but they got to keep you guys in the loop. I know council's not in the loop. I know you guys apparently, maybe some of them are in the loop. But
They are, I don't know about it.
it's going to just create, and then the newspaper jumps in with their little 2 cents, and it's just drama. We don't need drama anymore. We need teamwork to move the city forward, because we have unprecedented investment.
This shows an example of that. You may disagree with me, and other people have.
Yeah.
I don't shut you off. I don't.
No. Well, we talk about, but we take different stances on just for a talk show. You know what I mean? It's not, I don't agree with I say things sometimes just to create conversation and just dialogue. Or I'll take, like earlier today, I said, I'll take the mayor's point of view, just to create dialogue in a talk show. But it's teamwork, at the end, you guys got to start working together. The county too.
But it's a two-way street. You know?
Yeah, people got to check their ego. There's a lot of egos. God.
You know what I say, Joe? Here's my saying.
Yeah.
When you worry about whose name goes on the plaque,
Yeah.
that's when you have problems.
Exactly.
Because, everybody wants their name on the plaque.
Right.
Well, you know what? You might not, just because you were there when it happened, there's a lot of things go into that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of planning.
Right.
I think sometimes we overinflate it by, putting names on there.
It's just we are at a turning point. We have unprecedented investment. It is not gonna ever happen again.
Well, John, did you, when council met with the representatives, Hammett, UPMC, and met with Erie Insurance, okay? We did what we thought was best, okay?
Right.
But they did approach council, which is what all we're asking is that, hey, we're the ones that, at the end of the day, put our name on there, okay? So just make sure we understand. Like when I was challenged by the Times for not pressing Erie Insurance, look, I'm not going to go ask Tom Hagan what he's going to build in every building. But I know his project is going to be good.
Yeah.
And I know pretty much what he's going to do.
Yeah. And listen, everybody knows who's involved financially.
And you know what?
Behind it. It's no big secret.
It was one of the seminal moments where if we have made a decision that this is what's good for the long-range growth of the city.
Tom he's behind it. Come on. The world knows. Okay. Tom is making unprecedented, and he's getting older,
Yeah.
and he wants to make, your insurance almost pulled out of here a long time ago.
I know that better than anybody.
Yeah. And,
I remind people of that.
So we have a very limited window of opportunity to where we have such a philanthropic investor who actually cares about the history of this city, which we've seen. And we have to work together. I watched my son leave town. He just went to call. I'm like, why don't you stay here? We'll go at Mercy. He said, Dad, I can't. And he had the minivan loaded of his friends.
That's another.
There's no jobs here. There's no jobs here. We'll talk about that next week, but.
Well, you won't be here.
Oh, that's right. I won't be here for 2 weeks.
You will be back, though.
I'll be back. I think.
I have to make an announcement then.
Okay, we have an announcement.
Yeah, we will have a guest next week.
Uh-oh.
No, it's a.
Good guest?
Yeah, she's going to talk about.
You're going to have 2 guests next week then, I bet.
Why?
Because I think whatchamacallit's making his way back to town.
Oh, DJ.
Yes.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Cindy Purvis on to talk
good.
about. She wants to talk about the health care and stuff.
Oh, Cindy's very single-payer minded.
Yeah. But
Brings up good points.
It's a discussion that people should hear.
Yeah, actually, Cindy, yeah.
And we'll have Mary DiTullio on again in the future.
There you go.
And I have commitments from, not concrete, but I'd like to have Mr. Buchner on here again and a few other people to talk about.
Well, no-
I'd like to get Mr. Persinger on here too, but,
Yeah, good luck with that.
well, we'll try to. He's I've almost had him talked in a couple times.
Yeah, he'll say yeah, and then no.
Well, you know what, we'll put him. But we have had people, like we had John Villa, I'm going to have him back on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John's good, yeah.
he's a fountain of information.
Yeah, I talked to Wally Brown from the Sisters of St. Joseph Network. All the stuff they do in Little Italy about coming
He
on.
should come on sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Wally's a good man, and What they did on the west side, they're trying to do on the east side
Yeah,
now, which.
right, which is a good thing. Kaz, we are so far over and out of time, it's
Yep,
ridiculous.
but that's okay.
I mean, Monday, but they cut us off on the replays, but, so if you watch Mondays, you get extra time.
There you go.
So it's like a bonus.
There you go.
I mean, if you're bored and like have no life to listen to us, then you get extra time.
Thank you, John.
Kaz, thanks for having me. We'll
See you in a couple weeks.
We'll see you around Halloween-ish.
Okay.
All right, thanks for having me. Go ahead, Mike.
You have been watching Taxpayers Hotline, recorded live from the fabulous city of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh, DJ.